Hello everyone, wishing you a wonderful day. In a quiet office at the investigation agency, Toan is forced to face a painful truth. He was attacked, lost everything, and the mother he trusted all his life may be behind it. And he has just learned he is not her biological son. Will he choose justice or forgiveness to rebuild his life from nothing? Now let's explore the story of Toan and Tu Diem together. If you enjoy this, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. The office at the investigation agency was lit by cold fluorescent light. The brightness fell across a desk crowded with unresolved files, folders stacked in uneven lines, a recorder placed neatly to one side. Toan sat across from Thu. It was not a formal interrogation, yet the air carried the same weight. A glass of water was pushed toward him. He accepted it with a small nod. His voice stayed steady, but the trace of a long, dark period was still there. Thu held his gaze. Some of the people involved had been identified. The case was moving, but the central knot remained with one person. The mother now living overseas, far beyond immediate reach. Hearing her mentioned in that quiet office made Toan's shoulders tighten for a moment. Thu asked about past conflicts. Toan drew in a slow breath and began to speak, as if pulling each memory from a place he had kept closed for years. The room stayed calm, only the sound of paper shifting and the quiet breathing of two men. One doing his duty, one carrying wounds that had not closed. Toan spoke about the time when the company had been their shared pride. His mother's name was on every document, land, accounts, vehicles. He had never questioned it. Then Tu Diem entered his life. What began quietly could no longer be hidden. His mother found out, and everything changed quickly. One day she arrived at Tu Diem's farm with two unfamiliar young men. Her words were direct. Everything had been sold. The company, the land, the vehicles, even the farm. He was told to leave the country with the family and start over abroad. There was no space for discussion. He described that moment as a clear split in his life. Follow the woman who had raised him, or stay with the woman he loved. His refusal was quiet but firm. His voice shook, but his decision did not. He would not leave Tu Diem behind. Inside the office, each sentence cut through the last thread, connecting him to the past he once believed unbreakable. Thu did not interrupt. His pen moved in a steady line across the page. Toan continued. After his mother forced Tu Diem away, he returned to the farm to find her. He never reached her. Someone struck him from behind. When he woke up in an elderly woman's house, his wallet, identification papers, and phone were gone. Only his shoes and glasses remained. His eyes reddened, but his voice stayed firm. He believed his mother had arranged it. Before that day, she had already told him the truth. He was not her biological son. He was a child she had taken in. That cut deeper than the loss of money or status. He asked the investigators to uncover the facts, recover what could be recovered, and punish the direct perpetrators. But for his mother, he made a different choice. The years she had raised him, educated him, and trusted him with the company. He saw all of that as a debt beyond the law. He did not want her prosecuted. Thu nodded slowly. The case would move forward based only on clear evidence. They would focus on the people directly involved. His decision would be respected. For a moment, the air grew heavier, as if both men understood they were standing between justice and family ties. Toan let out a long breath. Some of the pressure left his chest. His eyes moved toward the window. Outside, the day continued as normal. Inside, an entire chapter of his life had just closed. When he returned to the farm, the wooden door opened with a familiar sound. The smell of fresh wood and damp soil filled the air. Tu Diem stood at the table preparing vegetables. She looked up and her eyes lit immediately. The warmth between them came back without effort. He told her everything from the meeting. Some people had been identified. The part connected to his mother remained far away. He explained clearly why he would not take legal action against her. She stopped cutting and listened. She asked about his biological parents. He shook his head. He had been raised by his adoptive mother since childhood. The truth had only been revealed recently. He had never searched for the people who gave birth to him. They moved closer and held each other without speaking. They talked about the new year, about health, about leaving the past behind. The warm yellow light showed the tired lines on their faces, but their smiles were real for the first time in many days. She held his hand tightly. No dramatic promise, just the decision to stay beside each other. Outside, the evening wind crossed the fields. Spring was approaching. Later, Toan hammered nails into the frame of a wooden chair. Sweat ran down his forehead. When Tu Diem sat to test it, a small smile appeared on his face. The steady rhythm of the hammer sounded like a heartbeat returning to normal. They worked side by side. He cut wood. She prepared the meal, then they rode the motorbike to the market. The wind cooled their faces. She wrapped her arms around his waist and laughed about washing the bike later and combing his hair when they got home. The afternoon market was crowded. Vendors called out. The smell of fresh meat, herbs, and vegetables filled the air. He chose a chicken. She picked beef, onions, and bright red chilies. Small things that slowly formed a new life. They teased each other about ordinary details, yet their eyes kept finding one another in the crowd. Back home, he parked the motorbike while she opened the gate. They both glanced at the new chair and smiled. The air felt lighter. He watched her moving around the house and understood that her presence had turned the farm into a real home. She touched his shoulder in passing, a simple reminder that the future would be built day by day. The change came from small things: a handmade chair, a trip to the market, an embrace in the evening wind. The sunset outside burned deep red. Inside, the stove crackled, the chicken simmered, onions sizzled in the pan. He stirred slowly while watching her peel the green barn chung leaves. They talked about Tet and about work. He had once managed large projects and an entire company. Now he wanted something that fit this life and left time for the farm and for her. She answered with a calm smile. She would support any path he chose. In the warm kitchen, the past lost its weight. Happiness was no longer in what had been lost. It was in the smell of food, in quiet laughter, in the simple fact that neither of them was alone. Cold wind slipped through the gaps in the door, but inside the warmth held. They cooked together, boiling the chicken, stir-frying the beef, blanching the greens, every movement slow and deliberate, as if rewriting their story through the most ordinary actions. The old year, filled with regret, was ending. A new year was arriving with a different kind of faith. The door opened with cheerful greetings. Thu's mother, Thu and Tu Phan stepped in, bringing the cold air of the last evenings of the year with them, but the wooden house immediately felt warmer. The table was already set. Steam rose from the boiled chicken, the stir-fried beef, and the fresh green vegetables. The square bun chung sat in the center like a symbol of reunion. Toan and Tu Diem welcomed everyone with visible emotion. Their voices were not loud, but the sincerity was clear. They invited everyone to sit. Conversation, laughter, and the sound of chopsticks quickly filled the room. Thu's mother praised the flavor of the food. Thu teased Tu Phan for taking too much meat. Dishes moved from hand to hand. each person adding food to another's bowl the way families had always done. Toan stood up and spoke briefly. He thanked them for being there during the hardest time and wished for a new year of peace, good health, and many meals shared together. His voice was low and steady. Everyone raised their cups. Their eyes softened as they remembered earlier days, meals at the old farm, the uncertain times, the moments when the future was unclear. Now they were still together in a small house, but no longer lost. Tu Diem sat close beside Toan. Under the table, her hand touched his, a light touch, enough to remind him he was no longer alone. The turning point was not the food, it was the fact that everyone was still here. Laughter came more easily. Thu's mother told old stories. Thu talked about repairing the animal shed. Tu Phan mentioned planting more vegetables next year. Small plans, all moving forward. The smell of food mixed with the yellow light, warming every face. No one spoke about what had been lost. The meal held only the presence of the people who mattered. Toan looked around the table and remembered clearly the days when everything disappeared at once. Now he understood he still had a family, in a different form. Tu Diem added more food to his bowl and told him to eat because he had worked all day. He smiled, small but real. Outside, the night wind crossed the fields. Inside, warmth held steady. After the meal, no one rushed to leave. New Year wishes were repeated: health, stable work, good harvests. Simple and practical. Toan listened. These were no longer formal words, they were clear goals for the coming year. His life had changed direction. He once worked with large projects and constant meetings. Now he thought about repairing fences, choosing better chickens, planting another row of vegetables. Not because he had lost everything, but because he chose this life. Tu Diem watched him and saw the calm that had returned. That calm mattered more than any property. Thu's mother stood up first. They walked everyone to the door with handshakes and familiar Tet promises, morning visits, shared cakes, New Year greetings together. The door closed. The house became quiet, but not empty. Toan and Tu Diem cleaned the table without speaking, washing dishes, wiping the surface, putting the chairs back. When everything was done, they sat beside each other. Outside the window, the sky was completely dark. In the distance, a few early electric firecrackers sounded. The wind moved across the fields, carrying the smell of soil and dry rice. Toan spoke about the coming months. He wanted a small construction job that fit the rhythm of the farm. Something stable, something that allowed him to build with his own hands. The chicken coop, the fence. Tu Diem nodded. They divided the work in simple steps. Mornings in the garden, afternoons depending on his schedule. When the harvest improved, they would bring it to the market. Clear plans, things that could start immediately. He realized he was no longer thinking about recovering what he had lost. He was thinking about creating new things. He thanked her for staying during the worst time. She shook her head. For her, staying had been natural. No tears, only certainty. They turned off most of the lights, leaving one small yellow lamp in the kitchen. The stove had gone quiet, but the warmth remained. Before going to bed, Toan stepped outside for a moment. The field was dark, the wind cold, the sky wide. He stood still and took a deep breath. A year full of upheaval was ending. He no longer felt pulled back by what was behind him. Decisions had been made. The people who mattered were still there. When he went back inside, he saw Tu Diem folding towels on the table. The simple image told him this was where he belonged. They went to sleep early to prepare for the next morning. The last night of the year passed quietly. No heavy thoughts remained, only the feeling of waiting for a beginning. The new year would not erase the past, but it opened the chance to live differently, slower, closer, more real. In the small wooden house in the middle of the farm, time seemed to slow down. No traffic, no constant phone calls, only steady breathing and the presence of the person beside you. The true ending of the old year had not been at midnight. It had been at that dinner when they all sat together. And the beginning of the new year was clear. The next morning they would continue to work, to build, to live. Nothing grand, just staying side by side.
Toan đến cơ quan điều tra để làm rõ vụ việc khiến anh mất tất cả sau khi bị tấn công và tỉnh lại trong tình trạng không còn giấy tờ, tiền bạc hay điện thoại.